Hello. Did you miss me? I'm back. So I promised a chimps video. You're gonna get a chimps video. So one thing I didn't touch on the last time we did this was what type of map does this Sauda strategy work on? We did it on sunken columns, and I mentioned this isn't an obvious case of a map where this should work. And the reason for that is partially because all of the maps around it, like, it will not work on any of these maps. It might work on Peninsula. It does work on another brink. That's another brick, not brink. Sorry. It may work on Cargo, but it would be way too much of a pain in the ass because this placement is horrible. But most of these advanced maps, it doesn't work. This off-the-coast saved game is from me being salty, trying to make it work in chimps, because it's so painfully close. Like, it's $200 off from working, but it just doesn't, which sucks. It will not work at all at any of these. Like, once we get to the expert maps, these maps it won't work on. This map it definitely won't work on because there's literally nowhere to put Sauda. This map, same deal. Same with that. This, it would be garbage on that, on that. On this, it might actually work, but oh god, no. Not there, not there, not there. You can see the save game from me trying it. Not there. And it definitely won't work on Dark Castle, which is unfortunate because Sauda's attack range doesn't go far enough, which sucks. But what does this strategy require to work on Modified? Because we could modify it, we could say we could try an Etienne-based strategy, and Etienne might make it work on a few more maps, but it would be a lot hairier. Because if we think about what's doing all of the damage in this strategy, and if you rewatch the video, you can see it kind of has a few different phases. The early game is covered entirely by Sauda. Then as the game goes forward, we transition more and more away from Sauda towards the Druid, as he becomes a Druid of the Jungle, then Jungle's Bounty, and finally Spirit of the Forest. And Spirit of the Forest does the majority of the popping power for the rest of the game, but we do still rely on an Archmage and a Sticky Bomb to be able to pop down blimps. That throughout this process, Sauda and the Druid of the Jungle would both struggle on the mass rounds of blimps that we start to see later in the game. So if we just review it, let's go backwards actually. So it would work on Dark Castle if this part of the track was skinnier. If we just load it up. Sauda, if we just stick her here, she can't reach across the track. If we stick her here, she can't reach this track. So if I could stick her here and have her attack this balloon, see she doesn't quite reach. If she could attack that guy, then she would be fine on that map. But she can't, so she's not. Similar deal with Quad. On Quad, the balloons don't actually go all the way around necessarily, so they don't necessarily touch Sauda, so she's out. Ouch, some of the tracks she can't cover. Muddy Puddles, she's horrible because she can only cover maybe 2 tracks poorly. And this has 4. So that's why all of these suck. And the basic philosophy is this strategy will work on any map where Sauda can be placed and have a decent bend. Like, off the coast kind of works. The problem is that this is the spot you have to put her in, and you can see how crappy this spot is. Because she can just barely reach the balloons, but you need this because you need to buff the shit out of her to be able to cover round 63, because you won't be able to get there. Yeah. So that's why that map is out. Another brick works because you can put her here, though. Pat's Pond might work because you could put her like there, say. Same deal with Peninsula. So you're starting to kind of see Sunken Columns works because, as you saw, we can put Sauda right at this corner and she hits all the balloons. Geared will not work because the gear turns and therefore she can't keep hitting all the balloons when she's over here on the gear. Same deal with some of these maps, like anything that has multiple tracks that don't have an intersection, like Rake might work because of this intersection. Downstream works. Firing range might work if you can put her there. I haven't tried it. Haunted, even though it's a 2-lane map, balloons enter both ways, it only goes through one path. So Sauda can be placed there and it'll work. Same with Adora's Temple, Bazaar, Encrypted. These are all good maps for it. Blenarius Prime would be really hard though. So that's kind of like... That's kind of the essence of it, is if Sauda can be put in a good spot where she can actually be attacking balloons and doing lots of damage throughout most of the game, like she has some sort of space to attack balloons on, then the strategy should be able to work. You do also have a placement space requirement, because let's say on Infernal, let's pretend we were doing this, because, yeah, you'll see there's literally nowhere I can place Sauda where she will even see the track, I think. Oh, no, if we put her right here or right here, she can see half of one spot on half of the track. Great. But let's just say we put her down somewhere. We still need later in the game to be able to place the sticky bomb somewhere that it will catch all incoming Moabs before they get to Sauda. And here the Moabs come from both of these directions, so we would need him to be here somewhere. And there's not really a great place. Maybe here or here would be good enough. But that's the other thing to think about. Those are the two towers that really rely on good placement. I'm just going to restart. The other thing that does matter, but maybe not that much... Well, actually, it doesn't matter in Chimps. It will matter in Magic Monkeys only, is where you place this Alchemist, the one that becomes Rubber to Gold. Like I alluded to before, Rubber to Gold is not useful in Chimps. Actually, this whole path is garbage in Chimps. The reason is what Chimps is. Chimps is, continues hard income, monkey knowledge, powers, or selling. There we go. And the I for that is income, and this is income. It generates cash. This is income. It makes us make more cash. So those two just don't make any extra money in their way. And these are, well, this one-shots leads at least, but this is just a waste of money in Chimps. And Balloon Master Alchemist is actually the worst upgrade in Chimps because it actively loses money. If you pay attention why, like if it attacks a ZOMG would usually give you a pretty good amount of money from popping all the ceramics from all the mobs that come out of all the BFBs that come out of the ZOMG. But the BMA just turns him into one red balloon, which is worth 1 money. So he just makes money disappear. So on Chimps, that guy doesn't matter. On Magic Monkeys only, we need him to be somewhere close to the entrance where he can hit stuff, especially because we want to be farming for a long time with Druid of the Jungle on the field. Because he does start doing most of the popping pretty early, in the 30s at least. And he's global, so this guy needs to be able to Rubber to Gold stuff before the balloons get popped by the Druid, which means he has to be at the entrance. So, under those conditions, and the last one not mattering for Chimps, and he will work on any of these, this strat will work on any of these beginner maps, like let's not even think about that. I think the hardest one for it would be like, what would it even be? Honestly, probably Town Center, maybe Lotus Island. But anyway, what I had in mind was skates. You can see I have this lovely golden border on skates, shiny. What this border means is that I have completed all of the game modes on this map. Sandbox does not count. It is Sandbox. You cannot complete Sandbox. But you can see I have the badge for completing it, and my first completion bonus is gone for all of these. I have claimed all of that. So that means I have quote-unquote completed the map. Well, except for this. You'll see on Winter Park I have a black border. And on skates I have a gold border. What's the difference? Well, if you look at the medals, you'll see the difference. Here, this badge is this sort of uglyish red token. Here, it's this much more thematic black token. And what are those? Well, those are the borders. Those are the icons for chimps. So chimps is a special mode where, because it doesn't have continues, but you could still do the gimmick where, as I've mentioned before, like if you're just totally, if you're just totally screwed, like let's just pretend you were in this situation where I just casually send round 63 here. And you're like, oh wait, Sauda has no chance whatsoever of popping all these shit because she's level 1 and I'm about to leak balloons and I only have 1 life, but I can press escape and go home. And then you could go back and restart it, or restart that specific round without losing the rest of your progress. Which doesn't really matter in the other game modes, but for chimps, the game keeps track. So if you complete the game without doing that, it awards you this black token, and when you finish the entire game, the entire map, that black token awards you the black border, which is the best border. If you do exit out and restart the round, you get the red token and the gold border. Black borders are better. As you can see, I exited out at some point during my chimps run in skates, so I have this gold border, and I thought, let's fix it. Look at all these people. Look at this guy getting 154 in hard mode, but not even playing beyond that. Psh. Gosh. So anyway, we're gonna play chimps. The true test of a balloons master. So, this is actually considered, I'll say it, since I haven't actually started. Most people don't necessarily consider chimps the hardest. Most people consider half cash harder than chimps, with the caveat that it's harder on the harder maps. So chimps is probably harder on these maps, where you have lots of space and you can kind of do whatever you want because the balloons take this weird curly path. But if you're over on Bloody Puddles, which is, I think Bloody Puddles is considered the hardest map. Maybe Infernal, depends on what you're doing with it. You do need to, it is considered harder to play half cash, because you have less money in half cash than chimps. And of course, money is king. So, back to chimps, which is hypothetically the true test, but asterisk. First thing to do, put down Sauda. And we just go through. Sauda is going to carry us for a long ass time. But you will notice two things. First, I didn't think about this when I made the other video, but on chimps you start on round 6, not on round 1. And you can't use the monkey knowledge that makes your hero start at level 3. So actually a big reason why Sauda is weaker in chimps than in Magic Monkeys only when I play it is Sauda starts at level 3 on round 1 in Magic Monkeys only, or at level 1 on round 6 on chimps, which means that at any reasonable round she's going to be a lower level, right? Even without the fact that the map is easier and therefore she gets less XP. So, yeah. Anyway, the next step is to place down a druid. This is in no way time sensitive. We will make it so far without doing this. We could honestly just let her sit here. It will take into the 20s, I'm sure. Maybe 26 would be the round that she falters on, but I'm not interested in finding out. Oh, there it is. Put that guy down. I could have used the ability. Fair point. But, I'm gonna put him down here anyway. The placement for, well, Sauda, obviously you want her on a bend, because she's melee. And having her on an intersection like this is great, because the balloons have to spend a lot of time near her, because they pass right by her twice. The requirements for the druid are actually very different. That was kind of a panic upgrade. Let's just grab this. So, he doesn't really matter, because pretty much everything he does, and yeah, right here, round 18, Druid just took over for Sauda, by the way. He doesn't matter right now because almost everything he does is going to be from these vines. His actual main attack doesn't matter. If I put him freaking over here somewhere, I'm sure there's a spot where he cannot see the track. Well, I could put him here and he can't see the track, and that would be totally fine. The reason that I want him here, though, is because when we get to the tier 5, to the Spirit of the Forest, things that pass nearer to him will take more damage. So he kind of has the same placement requirements as Sauda, and I'm going to get Hard Thorns because we're going to get Leads next round, and I don't want to forget. So he has similar placement requirements to Sauda because I want Bloons spending as much time near him as possible, with the caveat that even if it's not as good as Sauda, he will still do, like, it's concentric rings. It's not sudden like she is. She does 0 damage here and a lot of damage here. And he kind of does lots of damage here, good amount of damage here, and some damage for the rest of the map, or something like that. Anyway, I'm gonna put down this Sticky Bomb. I don't think the placement on him is super important, but the key is that he has time to explode Moabs before they get past Sauda. So maybe it would have been better to place him a little bit further out here, actually. But here's nice. The trade-off here is if he was over here, he would pop Blimps earlier. If he's here, Blimps are fat enough that if they get to here, he can pop them again and give the Druid a chance to kill them. I'm not really sure which one's better. But anyway, obviously the next thing we're going to do is Sticky Bomb. If you have watched the Magic Monkeys only run, you know how this part works, and if you haven't, then what are you doing? Go watch that. Sticky Bomb, obviously we're not getting the rubber to gold to get money, because we can't have money. This is Chimps. You'll notice they even disable the banana farm, which is sad. I would kind of like to place a banana farm at the end of the game just to flex, but anyway. So the next thing we're going to do, we're in good shape now. This guy will pop Moabs. Sauda will just do damage because she's Sauda. Boom. Look at that. And of course we have a Druid of the Jungle popping leads, killing everything. What is our weakness? Well, our weakness is that if any camo balloon makes it past right here, where he helpfully put down a Caltrop, we die. Because the Druid cannot kill it, and we have nothing else trying to kill it right now. If this was Magic Monkeys only, by the way, this would be really important right now. It's not for us, because we can't get money. So it would just be a damage increase, and it's a fantastic damage increase, don't get me wrong. It does extra damage. It doesn't do extra damage. It does more damage, the same number of balloons, and it spawns twice as many of these vines. So it's fantastic, but I don't care right now. What I do care about, however, is getting a backup solution to our camo problem, because I'm predicting, as I predicted last time, that round 51 ceramics are going to get past Sauda and then kill us if we don't do anything. So what is the best decamo here? Well, actually, I think the best decamo is this submarine, because I can do submergent support, and submergent support is actually super cheap. It's cheaper than that cleansing foam, I'm pretty sure, because this upgrade only costs $500. And it will decamo anything in this range. Not absolutely certainty, like mathematically 100% chance, but there's no real way for a balloon to make it through all of this without getting hit by that sweeper beam, which is what's doing decamo. And it has enough pierce that nothing's going to get past it. That was kind of a scary rush, but that's why we're going to get Jungle's Bounty.
Get ready.
So now we're just in the save-up phase. The submarine will do decamo work, and you can kind of pay attention, because next round, let's slow it down. So normally, if any camo balloon makes it past right about here, we would die without the submarine. And I think Skates might have this. This Sauda placement is actually really good, so she might be good enough. I'd also like to point out she is halfway through level. Yep, right there. We would lose to these things if not for the sub. My purchase was justified. And she is halfway through level 8 instead of being about this far through level 9 at the start of round 51, like she was last time. So it's actually a huge difference, and that's why. Because she would have this Balloon Bleed, which increases her damage by 33% and adds damage over time to all those balloons. So it would massively buff her. And that's why we needed the submarine here when we did not need any decamo on sunken columns. So that's kind of the trade-off. In Magic Monkeys only, you need to build the Alchemist. Well, I guess you don't need to, right? Because the strategy would still work. You would just be a whole lot less safe, so you want to build the Alchemist. In Chimps, you have to build a decamo instead. And did you see that pink balloon that just almost killed me? Do better. Alright, I'm gonna slow this down until we get the Spirit of the Forest. Again, just like Magic Monkeys only, we don't really care once we get Spirit of the Forest. Okay, I lied about slowing it down, by the way. I was going to, but then I got bored. I'll speed it back up later. Yeah. So round 59 is going to be kind of scary if this guy misses anything, but he shouldn't. I'm surprised that pink managed to rush through. It kind of like did a timing puzzle where it managed to sneak out while the sweep did this, and then sneak out again while it came back. Good on it. It almost made it. So these camo leads could be scary, but it looks like the ninja actually takes good care of them. Because if you didn't know, I probably said this before, but his flash bomb, hello. Could you please, seriously, do better? You suck. This guy, I usually need to use an ability. I would love it if I had the level 10 ability, but I don't. So I'll use this instead, and that'll be enough. I will have level 10 before round 63, which is great. Because I think doing the quick maths, yeah, I'm gonna need it. So round 63 is the scary one here. Because round 63 is where we get big piles of grouped ceramics, and if we don't have this guy... Actually, no, we might get this guy. Okay. Round 63, we're gonna get this guy mid-round. I knew we were gonna get him mid-round, but there we go. I thought it would be later. Now that we have him, this is not scary. Nothing is scary now. So, we'll get Heart of Thunder, because why not? We are currently not scared of anything for a long, long time. I won't say anything at all, because we are definitely scared of the BID. We are definitely scared of the DDTs that are going to come in the 90s, but those guys come in the 90s, and we're on round 65. We're not scared of anything until we get at least close to there. So we're going to start looking forward to there, and just like we did last time, we're going to put down an Archmage. This strategy does not differ anymore from here. We got this guy way later, so we had to be really careful in the late 50s and on 63. I did have to be quick on this in order to hit that. I could, like, Plutonium Reactor does a lot better at decamoing, and it pops stuff. I could get Twin Guns to get it to scan better. But I'm gonna get Archmage to decamo even more, and this guy can see camo, so I'm not stressed. And, I mean, Spirit of the Forest will kill things. Like, these are the vines that do a shitload of damage per second. And the balloons have to spend a lot of time going through them. So the only real way that I see us having a camo problem right now is if a DDT made it past here or so, and didn't get decamoed, and spread into ceramics that didn't get decamoed. So, I don't think that's likely. So I'm not gonna care about it.
Clean cuts and still cuts a tomato. Big, red, and spicy.
This is the boring part of the run, to be sure. There is no longer any real danger of us losing in the immediate future. We had one really close call with this pink balloon. We had to get this, remember to get this the camo sub, but right now, Spirit of the Forest will take care of BFBs on its own just fine. So round 80 is the next round where we even need another turret. Or another tower, sorry. Besides this guy. And we have a sticky bomb and a level 12 Sauda that's going to be level 13 maybe by then even. We have this Hurricane Spike, and we have a submarine that physically can't do damage, but that's okay too. So that round's not scary either. That means that this is the time when we just have to sit here and wait, watching. Slowly waiting to buy things. The next question, of course, is what do we get after Archmage? And if you want to say, but Ryan, you said that you should get Master Bomber in that other video that you said I should watch. I did say that, I admit. And right now, Spirit of the Forest would have handled those BFBs. It just needed the ZOMG layer popped. BFBs would pop like here, Moabs would pop there, Ceramics would pop before they got around the corner. But I'm also going to point out, what is it that approach forgets? We need to build an Alchemist. And I do need to build an Alchemist, or at least I would like to, because buffing this guy is big. Buffing Sauda is substantial. So, okay, we get this, and then you say, okay, we buy this one stronger stimulant Alchemist. Putting it here so that he prioritizes hitting Archmage, but he can still reach Sauda. This guy will do extra damage, extra attack speed, extra range to both of these towers that are doing all of our popping. And he will give bonus damage to Moabs, Leads, and Fortified. If you didn't know, Acidic Mr. Dip is actually is good for more than just being able to pop Leads. It does extra damage to Ceramics and Blimps, which is actually a fantastic buff, especially for these fast attacking towers. It would just be nice if it lasted longer. So we could even, like, double buff them, do this. But now is the time that I said I'll go for Master Bomber. We could also, however, go for Plutonium Reactor. We could go for Twin Guns on this guy. What I actually kind of want to do, though, is something unconventional. And go for a First Strike. And by unconventional, by the way, I mean totally conventional, because this is the meta of how you do... how you pop the BAD, at least, is First Strike. So, why First Strike? Well, first of all, it's fantastic for popping the BAD. If you hit the First Strike ability at the right time, you can pop the BAD and everything inside it at the same time, so you don't even have to deal with the DDTs, which is amazing. If the BAD got, like, out here, that would be great. He won't. The secondary reason that I would like this is we don't quite have the money, but if we did get first preemptive strike capability before now, it would actually replace Archmage. Better than fine. Because it has enough damage to kill every DDT up to round 99 automatically. It just pops all of those down to Ceramics. All of those would just turn into Ceramics, which obviously Spirit of the Forest can handle infinitely many Ceramics. When they're at the entrance, at least. So that would be perfectly good. He would struggle a little bit more on round 99. But he would do half of the damage to the DDTs, and I'm pretty confident Sticky Bomb could do the rest. I would prefer Archmage, it's more consistent, and we're not worried about DDTs, so... Just on a philosophical basis, almost. But I do want to get the First Strike instead of Master Bomber. because the one thing that might cost us the game now is if the BAD gets far enough that the DDTs won't decamo. But now we know for a fact that won't happen. And we'll get this for round 98. And I'm gonna get this instead of getting Master Bomber because I don't really care. Yeah. There. And I'll just give this guy advanced info. You can see him firing all the missiles. His primary attack can't hit them, but he's firing a missile at every blimp that comes on screen. And there he just vaporized some Zomics. This is a fantastic tower. Look, if you pay attention, he is one-shotting all of these Moabs, and he's bringing all of these DDTs to half health. And his follow-up ballistic missiles are killing them. So this is actually a great solution. And now let's just stick around while we wait for this thing to pop. Let's do that. Let's put down a... Sure, let's do a soups. There. And now, there is actually a tutorial, if you didn't know, one of those quest things that they have these days, fancy, is how to pop down the BAD with one of these. So, this isn't like you don't have to watch this video for a tutorial on it, and I'm not gonna really give you one, but they do tell you that. And how you do it is basically you wait as late as possible. On the ZOMG, you can wait until you see it in its most damaged state. I'm just gonna use Leaping Sword, why not? And I'll use this, and I missed it. Oh well. Not important because as you can see it does do splash damage. And it splash damaged out all the DDTs, so... And now the BFBs just basically kill themselves. And there you go. Even though I screwed up the first strike, and you can see a ballistic missile heading for these greens, we have one at CHIMPS. We can review the pops again. So as I said before we started, Spirit of the Forest carries in pop count throughout the entire game. The rounds would have to get a lot higher than 100. I think the first thing to overtake it would be Preemptive Strike, because free play rounds are kind of insane, and they will put out a lot of blimps. And by the way, I popped a whole BAD. It has 50,000 health, and I only got $1,000 for it. Free play money scaling sucks. But anyway, this guy still had plenty of time to get over 1 million pops. There is roughly like 2.14 million pops in chimps, I think. There are challenges for getting... Well, we can check after how many there are actually, because we didn't regrow. But there are challenges for getting like 2.1 million pops on a tower in one chimps game. Archmage did very solid damage. And you can see, by the way, when we went to round 80, I said like something like 250,000 was good on the Druid. And now at round 100, only 20 rounds later, he has 4 times that much. The Archmage has over 2 times that much at least. You know, the pop counts actually get pretty crazy in the high rounds. And Sauda almost has that many. And Sauda, they've nerfed the hell out of Sauda, because she can't even hit level 20 on this map in a chimps game. She was the first tower replaced. Lame. And yeah, this guy actually did pretty solid for himself too, given how cheap he was. But anyway, if we go ahead and leave, we can now see over here is this wonderful, beautiful black border on skates. And that's our chimp strategy for at least all of the beginner maps. I would be comfortable saying most of the intermediate maps. I think it won't work on Spring. Might not work on Firing Range. Won't work on Spice Islands, I'm pretty sure. Where do you place Sauda there? And it will work on like 2 or 3 advanced maps, and it won't work on like almost any expert map. But it's a pretty decent strategy. I think it's a pretty easy one to pull off because there's no micro involved. The only micro in the entire game was having to pay attention and make sure I used one Sauda get out of jail ability. So I think that's a decent, you know, newbie-friendly chimp strategy that I've been spamming because I like turning off my brain and still finishing Chimps. So anyway, I'll leave the video now. I hope you enjoyed, learned. Let me know if you use the ability and what, not the ability, the strategy, and what you think of it. Or don't. I don't care, actually. Do whatever you want. I'm not your... Luke, I am not your father. And on the terrible disappointment of that joke, bye!